Hey everybody, I
Hi.
want to talk with you a little bit today about how using personality type to participate in and manage productive teams is such a powerful tool for really raising the bottom line, growing the bottom line, right? It all starts with people. And I'm coming to you live from a little different location today. My puppy dog is not feeling so well, so I told her I would sit next to her today and be with her. So, anyway, you may hear some animal sounds throughout this, but that's just what it's like working at home, isn't it? So, yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea, right? When we think about running a successful business and all the things that are required to do that, right? It definitely is about the products and the services and all that kind of thing. But even more importantly, when it comes to running a successful business, is your people. You know, the secret to success all starts with people. Happy people make really wonderful and productive environments. Wonderful, productive environments create collaboration, creativity, productivity. So it really does all starts with people. And one of the things I think is so important to remember as a business leader, an entrepreneur, small business owner, is that what motivates you may not motivate or work for other people. Right? We're all different. We're all unique. We all have different makeups, organization inside. We have different personality types, and what motivates you or really fires you up is sometimes not going to work for other people. There's not a one size fits all approach that's very successful when it comes to management and running successful businesses. What I have found to be true is that the most successful businesses, the most successful groups, the most successful teams are the teams that are willing to understand all the unique components of their team, the people, the way they work, the way they tick, and then build environments shaped around that. Not take this one size fits all approach and then get frustrated and punitive if it's not working for some people. When we think about again, personality type, and before I dive into a lot of that today, I just want to remind folks that it's very hard to break it down into small components, right? When we talk about specific preferences based on personality type, the thing to keep in mind is that whole type affects traits. Whole type, when you play it together, the preferences draw out certain things. But for the sake of simplicity, I'll talk a little bit today about why this one-size-fits-all approach to management and productive teamwork is not a good fit for everybody. When you think about, say, for example, an intuitive feeler who has a judging preference, right? If you look at some of those specific traits for that particular type, they're efficient, they're reliable, they seldom miss deadlines. Achievement for them is constant. It means following the rules, upholding procedures, things like that. Because of the J preference, they're usually pretty good about anticipating needs, attending to details. They're likely going to only assert themselves to enforce harmony and stability. Because of that particular combination, especially the introverted NFJs. And so, for example, just even knowing about that particular type, that's going to affect different things like communication, management style, blind spots, right? Because again, if we think about the filter through which each one of us is meeting the world, it's based on our own unique set of traits, characteristics, experiences, history, projections, etc. And so when we are working with different people, we have to understand at the bare minimum what their type is and how they function, understanding that it's a jumping off place. It's not a final be all end all. And so, I think what's really, really important is, if we talk a little more about that NFJ as a team leader, right? So when we're talking about them as managers, they're typically pretty organized. They're very, very caring. They're patient, conscientious, and they have a way of supporting the team with both positive feedback and the necessary resources. So to that NFJ manager, it's very, very important that everybody has the resources that they need to thrive. Now, because that NFJ pieces, those pieces are there, they tend not to be big micromanagers. They like to kind of give people the expectations, give them the resources, and say, have at it, and then checking in on them periodically as needed. And so as a manager, that's their style. Now, knowing that, and knowing that for the other NFJs on their teams, that might work quite nicely. But for other types, say maybe you have sensors or thinkers or perceivers, they're going to need different sort of support from you as a manager. You know, NFJs tend to be cautious innovators. So because they're intuitives, they're innovating all the time, but they're cautious about putting it forward, especially the introverted. They tend to thrive more in the areas of encouraging others to express their views and ideas. It's a very powerful thing for them. And so as a manager, they're very, very, very good about supporting other people and drawing out their ideas. But as a team member, as an NFJ team member, they may need a little more drawing out. They may need a little more support in that area. So again, we're talking about just the NFJ preferences. We're not talking about the myriad of different combinations, but knowing who you are as a manager, your strengths, your areas for growth, and then also knowing the types of your team is going to be an incredibly powerful way to create the most productive team. And, you know, we talk a little bit about, you know, we think about management, a big piece of management is being able to communicate. And, you know, that's one of the big things that has been coming up over and over and over again around this idea of remote and virtual work. That more than ever, I mean, communication is always important, whether it's in your own personal life and your relationships as a business owner, entrepreneur in the workplace. Communication is the bottom line. And if we can't effectively communicate, then we are going to lose time. We're going to spend more energy, resources just trying to communicate and get across what it is we're trying to share. And so thinking just about even that basic piece of management and teamwork, right? Either as the manager or as a part of the team. You know, communication styles is a big place where personality type plays out. When someone understands about this and can bring in these aspects of personality type, they can do things like adjust their vocabulary to align with the style of another person. And what that can do, this is amazing, folks, and this is a super easy thing, right? We talk about morale and boosting people's feeling, belonging, and engagement. Just the simple act of learning how to adjust your communication style or even the language that you use to another personality elicits powerful, powerful responses. So that's really, really key. So if you think about feelers versus thinkers, right? Empathic language, empathic communication versus objective analysis is going to be critical. You're going to reach far more thinkers and help them feel connected and heard by you when you can be more objective in your analysis, use more objective language, cause-effect kinds of things, learn how to communicate like a thinker, versus a feeler who likes a lot more empathic, relational, collaborative kinds of communication and language. So this is really key because as a manager, knowing how to communicate to the particular team members on your team based on their type is going to be far more powerful and far more productive. Theoretical language and communication styles versus practical is going to be very key when it comes to a sensor versus an intuitor. Structured communication and language versus adaptable, very, very important when it comes to to the perceiving preferences and the judging preferences. You know, what has been found to be true is that clashes in communication style, they tend to fuel most of the workplace conflict. And it's been proven that some of the most successful managers are those people who are able to style shift, right? It provides really substantial benefits during negotiations, managing, interviewing, you name it. It is a powerful, powerful way to support your people. Being able to style shift, is a very, very powerful trait to have as an effective manager, because what might work for you is not always going to work for the next person. The language you use, the monitoring you use, some people need deadlines and more structure, others do not. Some need that more specific language versus vague language. So it's really, really important that you learn not only your type and how you tick and what kind of management style or environment you need to really thrive so that you can be productive. But it's also very critical to notice that in your team members as well. And you know, there's not enough credence given to this. It's always about the marketing and the sales and the messaging and the pitching, and all of those things are critically important. I'm not arguing that. But if you can't manage a team towards effectiveness and productivity, it's not going to matter how tight those other aspects of your business are. It's going to be very hard to reach the public and get your message and your products out there. And what I believe is so absolutely true is that customers are going to feel that. They're going to feel the disconnect. They're going to feel the incongruency. They're going to feel the breakdown. You know, the other really key critical area that I think is important to talk about a little bit today is that, you know, we all have different blind spots as well. So as a manager, this is incredibly important to know, and as a team member, it's incredibly important to know too. But when we think about professional development, right, and growing and areas of strength and areas of growth, blind spots is a really key piece that's based on personality type. For example, perceivers, they tend to love options. They love ideas and options. They're incredible brainstormers, right? When I get stuck and I need to come up with ideas or titles or options, boy, do I turn to my perceiving friends. But a blind spot might be is that they can get hung up in investigating too many different perspectives before they act. On the flip side, say, for example, you have a feeler who tends to be more, collaborative and relational. They may be so focused on the relationship that they forget that there's other work that needs to be done. We're going back to kind of this idea of perceivers again, who aren't really about rules and procedures and deadlines. They'll do them if they have to. Perhaps they get a little too casual about those. And so, learning how to manage both your own personality type as well as your team's personality types is really critical in that particular kind of area. Think about thinking judgers. What you might find some blind spots for them is that they too quickly dismiss incompetence and remain unaware of people's strengths that they actually bring to the table. So every type has blind spots as well. And so learning about not only your blind spots, but as well as particular other blind spots on your team, those are going to be really powerful ways to bring your team along and develop your team into the experience that you're looking for. And so these are just some quick ideas I had about the idea of using personality type to help manage productive teams. So thanks a lot for watching today. As always, I'm always interested in hearing your comments, your thoughts, reactions. Please feel free to drop comments below. Those of you who are watching later, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.